I never answered the availability request. Does that mean I don't have to be here?
We're good? All right, okay. It is March 26th, the CRCRC meeting, 5:03. I'm calling this meeting to order. We'll start with roll call.
Alex Robinette.
Jay Van Bavel.
Brian Ryder?
Dave Bench.
Tom Farrell.
Very good. Let's see. Has anybody signed up for public comments? Oh, what a surprise. Okay, well, no public comments, so we'll move right on to the consent agenda. I trust that you've all had a chance to read our delightfully detailed minutes.
They were. They really did capture all the.
I'll make
Okay.
a motion to approve them.
Yes, right.
for
I will
discussion.
second
Right.
reluctantly because I am offended, deeply hurt that the minutes, that my characterization of one of these exceptions as knolls and holes did not make the
Oh,
minutes.
gee whiz. How could that be?
I'm hurt.
My guess it was misinterpreted.
All right. Was there an item you want to discuss in this?
Yes, I was listed as abstaining, and I was away from the dais. There's a
Right.
difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That is,
Is there?
right, yes, you're right.
yeah. that
Okay,
is
well
true.
then, can we get that correction
We
made?
can amend that on the fly. If y'all wanna approve it with that correction, we can do that.
All right, well, would we approve with that, if we put that in place?
I make the motion that we approve it with that correction.
Okay,
I second the motion.
all right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes carry. Very good. All right, moving on, we have discussion and possible action on emails and letters to the CRCRC from January 5th, 2024 and to March 22nd, 2024. And I think really what we have is we have received one email in the past 2 weeks having to do with the recommendations that really we haven't reviewed yet, but on the tree ordinance, but have been part of the packet.
Well,
and-
just for clarification, it actually came in, I think, before the last meeting.
did.
So it's more than 2 weeks. Just
That is right, yes. Well,
No,
we
maybe
didn't
not.
meet, we only met like last week, so.
did
um,
we?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're a little bit
Yeah,
off.
you're right, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we're scheduled a little bit funny right now.
Never mind.
So, the letter was from Amy Patillo, and we could read the letter if it made sense to do so. I had asked Jay to respond to the letter, which he has since. I don't know if anybody's been copied on that. Did we
No,
copy?
that was just sent to you so far.
Just me? Okay, okay. We probably ought to, we're gonna probably need that for the record anyway, so, we ought to get that out to everybody. Or, I wonder what the best way to do this is. I need some help here.
Dave, I gotta tell you, whenever we're sending anything, I know we're quasi,
Mhm.
official,
Yeah.
but it's still, just, so we don't get fussed at later on.
Right,
The easy way to do that is to send everything to Desiree
Uh-huh.
and let her just assimilate it. And that way you don't have that kind of issue
Yeah.
that would possibly
Yeah.
pop up.
yeah, good comment.
It's just too easy to do, and then everybody, that makes sure that everybody gets it, and, we won't get fussed at for violating the Open Meetings Act, whether or not, we don't wanna have an appearance of violating it, whether we are under it or not.
Yeah,
So you're saying that every email that we receive will be posted?
No,
On the
only
agenda,
if you're
and-
gonna disseminate that to everybody. Anything that, like, if I were gonna send out a notice to the group, I would give it to Desiree and ask her to send it out.
Well, I think backing up, if you want to respond to an individual's email, do you also need to CC Desiree? And does that need to
I
go?
would.
Okay.
And-
Yeah.
And that way, we are assured of making sure the city has a record of everything that was said or done.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you would just need to forward your note to Desiree and
Yeah.
then you're done.
Yeah, would,
She'll take care of it.
would you send your note to Desiree and ask her that it be shared among the CRCRC?
I think, now that does take care of us if we do it that way.
Okay.
doesn't it, Actually.
And also,
For what purpose?
we have a letter that we responded to from Amy Patillo, okay? And, you don't know about it.
I think that covers
So-
us from a public information
Yeah,
perspective, if we
so-
then get, yes.
Right.
That was
Right.
my intent, and
Right.
I don't think that we are, that we probably fall under that.
Right.
But whether, if we get fussed at, we have to defend that we fall under. By doing this, we don't have to worry about it one way or the other.
Right.
Well, and that letter was on the agenda last meeting. It was
Yes.
posted, so I would agree that certainly if it was posted, then the response should be
Right.
posted also.
Yeah.
So I will forward a copy of it to Desiree to be disseminated to the committee and also posted on the website. Is that?
It will probably find itself in our repository of letters that we have. We have about 60 or 70 letters already.
Okay,
Um,
I take it then that not every email gets posted on the website that you receive.
We typically aren't being asked to respond. They're generally letters just indicating somebody's opinion about a particular thing and a desire to just see something done and not necessarily with any specifics.
David, there's another reason that we all should do that, because there are companies that mine data from the city,
Mm-hmm.
and they can potentially include each of us, where we would have to provide information that way. It's just, if we just go, look, the city has everything, we're covered.
Right.
We don't have to do that.
Right.
Just a lot easier for us to do
Okay.
it that way.
Very good. Okay.
Do you
Well-
think, sorry to interrupt, that because it's related to trees, and trees is on our agenda later, that we should discuss it at the same time so that we don't get bogged down in too much of that, or it's just as a suggestion?
Well, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought during the last meeting, we just had a really quick discussion about this. And we decided that we would wait until Jay got back
Yeah,
to handle it,
yeah.
okay? And I don't think we got any further than that.
Yeah, I'm not really ready to do anything on trees
Yeah.
today, and so
Oh, okay.
why don't I just send the letter on and they can post it for next
Yeah.
meeting, and then
Okay.
we can discuss the letter and also
Perfect.
the next step in the tree
yeah.
ordinance revisions.
I think my intention in doing it that way was to ensure that the person writing the letter didn't feel neglected, or that, that wasn't being listened to.
Let
And,
me make, Jay, did you respond to that letter, or did you just do a draft and
I responded
Dave
and sent, and copied you and Alex.
I remember seeing Amy's letter, I don't remember seeing the response, but okay.
Well, I tell you, Amy pays attention to things, great. I mean, that's
Yep.
wonderful.
Oh, it's a
to
good
have
thing.
Residents that do that,
Yeah.
and is thoughtful about her. I thought it was a thoughtful letter
Mhm.
that,
It was.
so.
And I was delighted that Jay could respond so confidently and so precisely to each of her points. So, another win. So, okay, that's it. Jay's going to send his response to Desiree. It will not get posted here in our packet, but but everybody will get a copy of that letter and, or the response. And we'll have your response added to our cache of letters that we've gotten on all subjects related to CRCRC.
So you're saying that it won't be part of next meeting's packet, the response letter?
What would you
I
like it to
thought
be?
You were just saying that needs to be, responses need to be publicly.
No, I don't think that's what he was saying. What he was saying is that we use staff as our intermediary for any communication, and thereby it becomes city property, and that anybody who decides that they want to use the open, or the
Open Records
the
Act.
what's it called? Freedom of Information Act, to find out what's going on, the city will have that information. They won't have to ask us for it.
So your response will not go in the packet,
Okay.
and neither will the letter,
No.
but it's available
Sure.
through the city.
Well, the letter originally got posted in the packet of last.
Oh, it
meeting.
did?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Last,
Had we been doing
for
that?
last meeting,
Maybe we've been doing that, I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
remember.
We just
It's
didn't
been
get
so
to it.
long since
Yeah.
we got an email.
If we need to put it in the packet, I know one of the staff people will tell us we need to put it in there.
I
We
would,
will do it if y'all tell us to do it. It's up to you guys.
Jay, I would, unless you have an objection, I think that we probably should put the response in our packet for next meeting. I think that'd probably be the thing to do.
I think in this letter's case, I think that's the proper thing to do.
It does have a lot of useful information in it,
That's
so.
right.
Yeah.
I certainly don't take exception to it. It's
Okay.
fine. We can do that. I don't know that we'll cover it, but it'll be there. All right?
Okay.
Okay, are we finished with that? We're all happy? Good.
Okay.
Let's move along to regular agenda item number 4, which is a continued discussion of possible action on residential building height, size, and setback recommendations. We were in the middle of this last time when we needed to adjourn just because of time. And I think we were at the point where we were talking about sidewall articulation, and we stopped right there. But I'm going to ask Alex to just kind of pick up the discussion where we left it and direct us to the next thing.
Okay. I will preface by saying that I think, in thinking about it, kind of the goal right now is to get a kind of height package to P and Z that includes maximum height, how we measure it, and any adjustments to height along the side yard setback. And in possibly foundations, but I had also included side articulation as part of that package initially. But I think because of the complexity of side articulation and that it doesn't really pertain to height, that I think that we should pull that piece out for now, because it's just really, it needs a lot of nuance and thinking. And so if we can focus on, and we should still discuss it because it is complex, but I want to make sure that we get the big items ready and we're good with it, regarding maximum height, how we measure it, and the kind of bulk plane along the sides. So I have kind of gone all the way back to the beginning to look at kind of 2 of the houses that seem to trigger this committee and apply the various things we've talked about to those houses just to see what happens. And so I think it's worth looking at this just to make sure, are we doing what we were asked to do? Are we gonna, satisfy the objectives of both sides? And so you should, I don't know, we can probably just look at the thing. I don't know that we need to have it on the screen.
Either way, we can pull it up.
Yeah, if y'all are good just looking at it like this.
Yeah.
So we recognize this house. We can see that it goes to a maximum of 45 feet.
Alex,
Yes.
let me.
This is what, 302 Inwood?
No, we're not.
Excuse me, just a second. While we don't have anybody on right now, we do have people that watch the video
Uh-huh.
later on. It might be better to,
They unfortunately can't.
They
wouldn't
can't
see
see
it. Don't worry,
They can't see it.
my bad.
No, it's
Sorry.
okay, but if it's
Yeah.
easier for you guys to look at one screen, we can do that, but, okay.
Do we not want to identify this?
Well, I don't know that we
Uh,
wanna identify it.
There's no need to, really.
Yeah,
We
we don't
don't need
need
to talk
to.
about a particular address.
We-
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm showing you in red is that it goes to a maximum of 45 feet from that lower drive area. I am making assumptions based on the little data that I have and old Google, images of the street, I think roughly the existing grade is that yellow line. I'm not certain. And if that's the case, then we're proposing you can go 35 feet above that. If you look on the next page, I have the drawing, which roughly matches that photo. And this is hard to read, I'm sorry, Prince. The orange diagonal line at the top represents a 35-foot parallel plane from existing grade. So effectively, anything above that could not be built. And there's sort of a triangulated portion up there. Similarly, if you look at the side elevation at the bottom of the page, I think the blue squiggly line is kind of existing grade, and you can see that there's a parallel line 35 feet up. And the orange line represents what I think this drawing is using as grade, and a corresponding orange line above. What they did use is the red line, and so that goes to 45 feet in the front. It's roughly 35 feet at the back. So that red line with arrow tips on either side is a 35-foot line. So basically, you probably lose the top portion of that house, which may solve a lot of issues. However, if you then combine what we're talking about with side, I like Brian's word of side yard setback. It's kind of side yard. We're talking, and Jay, you weren't here, but what we said was 10 feet from the property line, the maximum wall height is 25 feet. And you can add a foot of height for every foot you go inboard. So when you get to the 15-foot setback, you can have a 30-foot tall wall. When you get to the 20-foot setback, you can go to the maximum height of 35 feet and no more. So if this house were to use those rules, the colors aren't, there's sort of a pink dotted vertical line. The house could effectively build out to there. So you can see right now, on the left of the drawing is the 10-foot setback where the house is built, and it is actually at 25 feet. So right now, that house matches what we're talking about. It then steps in greatly, which is good. That's also something we want to see, is that kind of setback. But if they wanted to, because they can't go higher, they could build out bulk towards the sides, up to the orange diagonal line. However, the green lines show kind of what is existing on that side of the house, and it's possible that it's close to existing conditions, and so that you could then go 35 feet up from there. So if you see the green vertical line with arrows on either side, it goes up to a green line. I think you could build house within that volume. So you could kind of slide that piece they have over to the left. And you haven't really mitigated, in my mind, the issue. I think the reason that the volume is where it is up high is because that's where the downtown view is. So it's likely they wouldn't build
Would want to do that.
where they, over on that side. But if they were trying to maximize square footage, they might choose to do that.
It doesn't seem that you could slide the whole thing over.
Not
You-
quite. You would run into your.
and get a reasonable story. I mean, if it has
Yeah.
to stop the 30-foot, the orange line, it'd only be the last 10 feet of it that could be that tall.
That's true. It couldn't go all the way across. Yeah.
And I really think, Alex, I know the topography of this lot
Yeah.
quite well.
Uh-huh.
I think quite frankly, I think that the original topography of that lot was a little lower than what,
On that left side, was it built up?
yeah, they built
Okay.
that up a little bit. But I think the overall deal that we're talking about would make that a lot more palatable from a view standpoint
Okay,
of an imposing structure,
Mhm.
especially if the top floor was minimized or set back or, that would be my opinion on that.
well, one thing we are allowing is that you can build to 35 feet on your front setback.
Yeah.
And so you could have, it would be less imposing than what's there, but it is what we're
The-
allowing.
And that would ensure that if somebody were building a spec house, that almost positive, if they're trying to maximize square footage, it's gonna be a flat roof.
Yeah.
The way the house was built, it's 10 feet on
Left.
page 2, that,
Yeah.
10-foot setback,
Mm-hmm.
and then 15 on the other side.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm showing you on the right that the sort of vertical dotted blue line is the property line.
Okay?
15 feet in is actually overlapping the volume there. And then this house sort of does what we're asking it to do. At 20 feet, it
Yeah.
steps back again. You could go up to 30 feet. I have written 30-foot max. So where I have the pink dotted outline, it could build out into that space,
Yeah.
which we don't want. We prefer it do what it did.
Well, it couldn't build out to that space because you're limited in height by the orange line, correct?
Yes, but you could build it just as it is because the orange line is here. You haven't exceeded it. You're at 30 feet.
Oh, you're saying the second story or
Yeah.
third story, whichever story
Yeah.
that is, okay.
So my question is, are our numbers good? Or do we think that that's okay? Is that going to be enough?
I think this does a great job of illustrating
Yes, it
that
does.
these new conditions, these new constraints that we're asking for approval are going to do the job. They might not do everything we wanted, but I think they do a lot.
There is no magic pill
Right.
for each lot in Rollingwood
No.
because of our topography.
Right.
I mean, that's just, this one had a drainage area, and that's the nature of it. But we have a house that's on the same street, you probably know it further down, if you
Mhm.
would, that's probably a comparable size, but it just doesn't look that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not imposing.
Mm-hmm.
So I really do appreciate this, Alex. This is, I have a hard time seeing this, but this helps me a great deal as to
Okay,
what
good.
happened on that. It was a great job. Thank you.
It gets complicated.
I agree that this seems like it'll do the job, and
Okay.
in this particular case, this house would not be able to have been built the way it was built. So I think that's part of what we're trying to achieve
Okay,
in
good.
Yeah.
future houses.
Now, we had talked about putting together, this is a recent discussion that the height group has gotten in, that we'll put together a list of things that are going to work for us. They maybe not work as well as we want them to, but by virtue of how the survey responses read, we're kind of confined to those, we have to confine our recommendations a bit. If we'd have decided that we were gonna make a 30-foot maximum height, which some people want, this would have been a huge difference, but we're not gonna do that.
You said 35 foot.
No, did I say that?
Mm-hmm.
If we had decided that we were gonna make the maximum height 30 feet is what I meant to say.
Okay.
You did. You
Yeah.
said that.
He said 30?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
he's just using a hypothetical. He's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
That's
saying
right.
we're gonna go there.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Which we're not gonna do.
Right,
But
right.
if we did
when-
a 30-foot max, it would take the entire upper floor.
It'd take an awful lot off of here.
Now,
Yeah.
Yes, it would.
we had talked one time about having the fire department give us an analysis of height,
Mhm.
and when they do that, because that affects each one of our pocketbooks on our
Mhm.
fire rating.
What I had some discussion with,
Andy,
Mike.
Mike. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And he didn't indicate that there was any issue at all with regard to height. There was the setback that they would be concerned about, but he says that as long as your setback is 5 feet, your insurance is not affected.
Good.
So,
Okay,
so I don't know that we're in the kind of territory that, you're,
makes a difference.
it's not a skyscraper.
I wanted
Yeah.
to check that box.
Right,
And
right.
you've done that. That's,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
okay. That's
right.
all,
Yeah, Fire Marshal Lacey,
yeah,
yeah. So,
I hired him.
It seems what's critical in this plan is establishing the existing grade, without any alterations done. You know, before anybody starts doing any architectural plans, because otherwise they're gonna not know what they have to work with.
Well, and that is now a requirement that you have to submit even
Yeah.
before you demo,
Well,
so.
Well, let me ask Nikki. Nikki, so I buy a house in Rollingwood that I'm gonna tear down. I get a demo permit, I go tear it down. Where's my grade?
So,
Oh, sorry, Nikki.
So currently, with our new change that we had quite a few months back, we have a native ground survey that you do before a demolition.
Okay.
So that survey, based on the topography and everything, gives you that native ground baseline. So even if you were to come in, you were to demo, for some reason, scrape the lot, whatever, you're still bound by that. And then that is checked through the review process and such, but as a stopgap in the middle, at framing, they're going to do a height survey, a height verification, which will be built off of that.
So
native
if
ground.
if a home that's to be demolished did some excavating prior to building that home, then is the natural grade determined from the area around the current home? Or if they excavated it some, is that the natural grade now?
I am not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's dependent, and I know it's in our code on how it's described. We've just gone so many different, if we do it this way or we do it this way.
I
but
would
I'm-
think it,
can you excavate, do a considerable excavation on your lot without getting a permit?
Yeah.
No.
No, you can't, right? So the answer to your question is, I mean, you could see someone saying, oh, well, we're gonna tear this house down, but before we do that, we're gonna excavate it. So that
No,
we get
that's
some-"
not my question. The
Okay.
question is if the house that's currently there,
Yeah,
if, before they built that house,
They filled?
did they do some fill work or excavating work?
Well,
And in that case, how do you determine what the natural grade is?
I think it's the perimeter of the building.
Yeah.
okay, so
Okay.
we have, I'll just tell you all this. There are some lots in Rollingwood that, that were on a cliffside. And they filled in, they complied, 100% of that lot is filled.
So they built retaining and then backfilled to get?
No,
oh.
it just goes off into the, tapers off down the hill. But 100% of about 5 lots that I know of are filled. Because the reason I know that is when they, the topography of the, ridge line,
Mm-hmm.
they followed it, they just put the water line in and then filled in on top of it. And the water line goes like a snake going across on timberline.
But they filled it to the boundary line in that case then.
So that would be considered native
and
grade?
that's
Yeah.
native grade.
Yeah, and
Okay.
if you
That's
wanted
it.
to excavate out, then that's basically your new datum, because it's gonna be lower.
Yeah,
So it has to be whatever is
I'm not
lower.
worried about the excavation.
Yeah.
But my concern was, okay, so I buy this lot,
Mhm.
I know I'm gonna tear the house down,
Mhm.
so I decide to do landscaping, and I go put in 3 feet of fill around, the lot.
Up to the windows, up to the lower window
Wherever.
ledge, huh?
Before you demo.
Before I demo.
We, yeah.
Have I gained an extra 3 feet? I
Well,
hope not.
I hope not.
When do you get, so you, before you
Nikki
get,
will jump all over that one up.
So I will say our policy is not going to be able to catch
Everything.
things like that. I mean, we require before any type of excavation, this process will kick in and that will become the new native grade. We won't be able to tell what happened before the current home that is there now. And I mean,
We have.
there's
we
no,
do-
you know,
We do have the elevation of every single house in Rollingwood. Because we shot that when we put in the sewer.
at what, at where, like the base
The
level,
slab.
or what's the,
Talk about the base slab.
Yeah, where no, we did the elevation of every lot in Rollingwood.
what point? I guess I'm wondering what point on the lot for the purposes of.
They did the whole lot, as
Okay.
I recall.
Like a full survey, then it seems like of each.
Yeah, we did it early, with, LiDAR. Cause remember, y'all may remember we had those big X's I painted on the street? Big white X's.
I remember
Okay.
wondering whether those were places where people were buried or were
Well,
going to be
they-
buried.
Some of them were, but that's
Yeah.
not all of them, Brian, but.
I think
that's-
I think an issue we might run into, and I mean, it's going to be a matter of if we talk to the current homeowner and we say, actually, here's what we think your elevation is based on, you know, this other map. It may look different now, but we're going to hold you to this standard. I don't know how we are going to be able to, you know, do
Okay.
that going
Yeah.
forward. I think this way we're capturing it. It's a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
The moment you tell us you want to
Right.
start some excavation,
Yeah.
that's going
And
to be.
I think that your fill scenario, you have to have a building permit, I assume, to raise your grade 3 feet all around the house.
I'm not sure you do, on the permit, but I think you do from the drainage, maybe that's.
I think it would kick in with drainage. I mean, we have
Yeah, that's
excavation,
what-
but we don't,
yeah.
you know, I'm sure it would kick in for that. We would just, that would have to be something we.
Jay, the only reason I bring that up is I've dealt with, spec builders, over the years, and, they look for a lot of different things that, come in.
I also think that we probably get a call immediately if somebody
We'll
was
be looking
noticed
too.
dumping,
We'll be looking
you know,
too.
hopefully, but anyways.
Okay,
okay,
all right.
do the best we can.
Can we,
So the second project,
God, this is great.
it is. This is,
you know, a lot of people were concerned about the height, well, a number of people were concerned about the height of this one, which, if you consider the high point of that gable, kind of on the left face, all the way to the ground is 45 feet. I'm sorry I didn't draw that. It may be, let me see if it's on the drawing on the next page. No, I'm not showing it, but it's 45 feet from grade to the tip of the gable end. So it is a corner lot. It's set back 30 feet from the curb, which means it can go to 35 feet because that's what we're saying. You can basically build to that red line that I'm showing on the photo. What you would not get is the gable roof. So you could build a flat roof that follows that outline. I'm showing you the yellow line is roughly 30 feet, just as like what would 30 feet look like, and then of course the blue line is 25 feet. But our rule doesn't say that. You can do that, but that's just for clarification. So then looking at the
How
drawing.
far is this off of Rollingwood Drive? I know that's.
It's on Rollingwood Drive.
Well, I know it is, but how far?
Oh,
what's the
30
setback?
feet, 30
It is,
feet,
it is a 30-foot
because it's a corner.
yeah, it's a corner lot, so it's got a 30-foot setback.
Technically, it could have probably been a 20-foot side setback because it's only two houses that are back to back. And when you have that condition in Rollingwood, corner lots are allowed 30 feet on the front and 20 feet on the side. So that could have been, I think it could have been 35 feet, 10 feet closer.
Could have been.
So we're allowing that.
Well,
So
you said that. Is the house that is behind it, is it in fact,
backs it up to it.
is it 30 feet or is it 20 feet?
It feels like 30 feet.
Okay,
So-
well then what you just said, that can't be.
Yes. Well, that, I think the other house could rebuild 20 feet closer, right?
Well, there would have to be an agreement in advance for that, because you
Really?
can't just build a 20-foot setback, even though the house behind you might also be able to do that. You can't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Alex, I don't want to belabor this, but on that particular house, this, the one we're talking about, and the one that is on the next street that they back up to, is actually either a 20-foot or a 30-foot, old alleyway
Yeah, between them.
between them.
I remember.
That went to one of those two property owners, I can't remember which one, but it's a separate lot altogether.
Oh, so technically they're not back to back.
So there are three.
I think they are.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how, that may have been, unless, that was re-subdivided to take that.
Yeah.
It didn't go to this lot.
Okay.
It went to, Ms. Harris, I
Okay.
know who
Okay.
owned that, but it went to her.
Okay.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That
okay.
20-foot and 20-foot, that's almost a special case. That's got to be
Mhm.
worked out in advance.
Yeah. Well, and this house is not built on that rear setback. It's actually pretty far back.
Yeah.
So it could have been more imposing. But I just wanted to show this to you all, and let's look at the drawings. So I'm showing you on the top drawing, there's a blue horizontal line across the top that says at 30-foot side setback. I think that means that house could build fully to that height. So all that would really be missing is the roof. You know, they have a particular style of this house that, you know, has these roofs that is nice. I don't know that, you know, if they wanted to do a flat roof thing, they could. So I'm just,
I just want to make sure I understand that the first story still adheres to the 10-foot and 15-foot side yard setbacks, right?
well, there's no 15-foot in this case because it's a corner lot.
Oh,
So I think it's
okay.
It's 30 feet, I think.
it's a 30-foot from the
30-foot set-
street.
yeah.
Okay, I just, the first story will have to adhere to the current setbacks, right? For corner lots and non-corner lots.
Well, this is all the same. It's a flat plane. I mean, there's the first story, because it's 30 feet, it can go to, it's 30-foot horizontal from the property line. It can go to the maximum height of 35 feet.
No, I'm just talking about your setbacks on this,
So that's a different case because that's not a corner lot.
okay. Well, I guess I'm asking for clarification on non-corner lots first.
Okay.
That the first story has to maintain the 15-foot on one side and the 10-foot on the other side
Yes.
setback. It's only the second story that can be where you have a 20-foot setback.
Well, I think we have a 20-foot rear setback, and so that's why we talk about that as well. Because the rear setback is 20 feet.
Uh-huh. You're just saying the upper stories can be, they can't be all the way to the setback, they have to be further back.
Well, if it's a 10-foot setback,
Mhm.
the sidewall goes to 25 feet, and then, yes, the level above that has to go back a
Okay.
foot at least, and can only gain a foot in height.
Okay. Oh, so 25 feet.
So you could have a two-story home on the 10-foot setback, because 25 feet is 2 stories. I mean, you can easily get two generous stories in there. So you don't have to set back after the first floor,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Because it's 25 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. So talking about a corner lot then, they have larger setbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the same rule applies that they can,
Well, they get more height to start with because it's set further back.
okay.
So it's like at 10 feet, you get 25. At
Mhm.
15 feet, you get 30. At 20 feet, you get 35. And that's as high as you can go.
So that means that theoretically, somebody on a corner lot can have this cube that's 35 feet high.
Yes, if not all corner lots have 20-foot side setback, only if they back up to one other property. So there's a number of blocks in Rollingwood where there's only 2 houses. But if it's a long block with a bunch of houses in between, those corner lots have 30-foot setbacks on both sides.
Okay.
I think there's what, 3 streets? I'm trying to go through my mind. It couldn't be very many
That
They
have
have
the
a-
back-to-back.
that have 2 lots.
There's quite a few over where I live in the Vale, Farley,
Yeah,
um,
that's where I would thought most of them would be.
yeah, Riley. You know, there's right there across the street from this,
Yeah.
actually.
That's
Across
true. That's
is those 2 houses back to one another. And at the other end, at like South Peak,
true. Yeah.
2 houses.
So it seems to me that on corner lots, you're not gonna be able to, what you're trying to do on non-corner lots is have a step back. If they want that high, then they have to step it back.
Mhm.
But on a corner lot, you don't really have to. You can just build it straight up.
Yeah, I don't love that. I mean, personally, but that is currently what we have.
Well,
So the
what-
answer would be do away with the 20-foot and just say if it's a corner lot, whether it backs up to 1 house or 2 houses or 10, it's 30 feet.
30-foot setback or 30-foot height?
So you can
30-foot
never have a
setback.
20-foot corner lot setback?
Just do away with the 20-foot setback on the corner lots. And that would take care of that, wouldn't it?
It was suggested in the survey that some people thought that we should make it universal to have 20-foot side setback for corner lots.
We floated the possibility of changing the setbacks to both P and Z and to city council. And of the responses that we had gotten from both of those, that would appear on everything that we talked about, those were probably the most negative responses. So it felt like, at least in initial delivery, that it was a non-starter. Don't screw with the setbacks. So people get sympathetic to it. They say, well, yeah, we understand the 10 and the 15 is not fair, and that it's not fair for a corner lot to have such a large setback.
Plus,
But don't
right-of-way.
change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not going to get there. And in fact,
I'm sorry.
going back to what we were saying earlier, those things that could have happened that would mitigate the size of a house, this would be one of those things. You could say, well, if we change the setbacks, we can change the rule as far as how high a house can be. But if we don't change the setbacks, this is the rule. This is it.
I'm
We're
trying
stuck.
to, Alex, I'm trying to think back, I don't, this rule was in place before my time, but, the 20-foot versus the 30. But I'm trying to figure out why would we do that?
Yeah.
Why did the city do
I
that?
think because they were maybe looking for uniformity. I don't know, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense that it does seem, it isn't actually uniform.
No, they make it,
Well, and now there's a situation, there's a house that changed its address. The front door is not actually on what they are calling the front setback.
Yeah.
And it's well forward of the house next to it, and, you know, the bulk of that house
Yeah.
really sits towards the street, forward of the adjacent house. You know, I think that, truth be told, they could have built, no, they couldn't, because it's a corner lot, so, yeah.
They took advantage of the 20-foot
Mhm.
because of that deal. And I know which house you're talking about, and it's terrible because people, Amazon wants to stop at their front door.
Well, nobody's in this house yet. It's under
Oh.
construction.
Well,
It's
this is-
another,
We have another one then.
yeah,
That's off of,
yeah.
say where it is, but
And, yeah, what's unfortunate about this house also is that they made the 10-foot setback their backyard. So there's like no backyard at all, but that's,
the
It's
more
a
I think
spec
about
home.
it, I think we do away with the 20, to make a recommendation, just make it uniformly 30 feet, and that's,
and then we
that-
won't have a situation
then
like
we
Jay
won't have
said,
that.
The-
yeah.
You're talking about the front setback?
No,
And
side
the
setback.
corner-
on a corner lot.
Side setback on a corner lot.
Okay.
See, there's one exception that says if you are, if it's a small block, 2 houses, then you can go 20 feet rather than 30. And I don't really understand the advantage to the city from that. Because everybody, the houses I see that are doing that are maximizing and causing us a problem.
Well, in full disclosure, we own a lot that we're working on a spec home that is backs to another, and that we have that opportunity now, but it's not even being utilized because of the bulk of the house that would create. So it wouldn't even affect us if it were 20 or 30 feet.
But I can't think of, from a governance standpoint, the reason we have the 30 feet is to ensure that you have visibility and you don't have a house sticking out at the corner that would make it odd on the rest of the block. Why that, we would give that exception to the 20 foot. I can't think of any reason that's an advantage to the city.
Ask about another possible scenario. If in fact it's very unlikely that we're gonna get a change in setbacks approved, which is I think what you're saying, what about measuring the height maximum from your current setback? In other words, in this one, it's 5 feet from the 15-foot setback.
On the,
5 feet from,
The 30-foot max is,
I'm sorry.
on example
Jay.
A,
so this is a 15-foot setback,
Uh-huh,
right? And the
yeah.
first
Yeah.
story is 15 foot from the setback.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one is,
20 feet.
would be 20 feet from the setback. But what if you just said, 20 feet from the setback, but it's 5 feet from the one below it? So
I'll talk about this in a second. Okay.
So,
Okay.
I'm still not following.
in other words, it'd be 5 feet from the bottom story.
So you're taking your setback from whatever is below it, and it doesn't matter where the property line is. So you go
Yeah.
up,
That's the effect of what you have here, right?
so you have to go. Okay, so I think what you're saying is every structure has to have a maximum of 25 feet wherever it is. And then it has to set back 5 feet?
That would be the result of doing that.
So you can never have,
You're-
okay,
Whatever the setback is, that's your 25-foot point. That's what you're saying, right? So if we have a 10-foot setback, it's 25 feet today. If the setback were 15 feet, it'd also be 25 feet. We start at the setback. Is that what you're saying, Jay?
I think that's what I'm saying.
Would that be true for the front and the rear as well? What we said last time we met, we had a lot of discussion around this. Last time we met, we said, okay, it's gonna be 10, 15, 25, okay, and it applies to all four sides of the house. That's where we ended up.
We did that because we were assuming a 30-foot setback from the front,
That's right.
so it would never come to be less than 35. And
That's
we were
right.
assuming 25 or whatever the rule is from the back
That's right.
again, so that it would never, we basically said that it would never apply to the quote front and back. And
Right.
now we're wrestling with what is the front.
Exactly. Well, there's that, and we're also saying, well, maybe we don't wanna do 10, 20, 10, 15, 20. Maybe we don't wanna do that. Maybe we wanna do something else. Right? Am I saying, is
I'm
that?
just talking about
am I-
corner
Is that what
lots.
we're saying?
Okay,
Whether there isn't some way to affect the architecture
yeah.
in a way that it's set back also.
Are we talking about, we still have the 20-foot, some lots that have a 20-foot corner lot, or,
Mhm.
okay. Could- Or,
There's-
And they can build their
Okay.
sidewall all the way up to 35.
on a 20-foot setback
Uh-huh.
currently, but you're suggesting something different,
Even with your scenario, they would
Yeah.
be able to do that, right?
yeah.
Because they're 20-foot setback. They can go to 35.
They can go to, on the 20-foot setback, you can go to 35 feet,
Right.
yep.
So on a 20-foot setback, they can go to 35 feet straight up. But what if you, that's 5 feet difference than you can do if you have a 15-foot
Right.
setback. So is there a way to incorporate that 5 feet into the current
I
into
see.
their 20-foot setback?
So, maybe you have to have, well,
Is this, well, is this what we want here? I'm gonna be devil's advocate on the other side of this. Is that, corner lots are disadvantaged inherently because their setbacks are significantly greater than if the setback were the house next door.
but they do have the benefit of added privacy.
Added
And-
what?
Privacy, and they're not impacted by
Well,
somebody right next to them.
okay, your typical Rowanwood lot is 15,000 square feet, typical.
The lot-
It's the requirement. The requirement, the Rowanwood requirement is that all lots have to be at least 15,000 square feet,
Yeah,
okay?
Nikki's
In
agreeing
my
with you.
neighborhood, most are. Most are. That's what
Or
they
only
are, third of an
15,000
acre,
or
about a
only
third of an acre.
15,000 square feet,
Hmm?
or only 15,000 square feet?
Yeah, ours is just over that. Ours is just over 15,000 square feet, just a little bit. It's not 16,000. I'll bet Jay's lot's 15,000 square feet, I'm almost certain it is.
Yeah.
Just go up and down Rowanwood Drive or Timberline, you'll find, they're pretty much all that.
Is that
You know,
true
now
of
when you
corner
get closer to
lots,
Vale, the
No,
closer
those are
you
not
get,
corner
the further east you
No,
get, the
this
bigger
lot's
the
corner
lots
lots.
get. But in our neighborhood, they're all fairly much the same size, and there's undulations because of topography, but for the most part, they're about 15,000 square feet. So if you've got a 15,000 square foot corner lot, and you've got a 30-foot setback, plus maybe a 10-foot right-of-way, there's a lot of unbuildable space that you just bought. And that is my point, is that if you say something, well, with corner lots, we're not gonna allow them to go with this 10, 15,
But the 15,000 feet has to be the owned property. Now, you've got a right-of-way in front of it.
Oh, I think that right-of-way is included in that 15,000.
No, no,
Yeah?
no, because the 15,000 those lots were created, I'm almost positive, when we had sewer, before we had sewer, when we had septic system, and 15,000 was the state minimum for building a private disposal system, AKA a septic tank. And it assumed, though, that the majority of the lot was gonna be used for a drainage field. evaporation field or something
Sure,
like that.
yeah, right.
But so I don't, now the visual of how a right-of-way up to the line, up to the property line, and then 30 feet back from that gives you 40 feet of green
That's right,
area.
yep.
But I
And-
think that the owned property has to be a minimum of
But
15,000 feet.
in that case, with that 40 feet off of the curb, your 35 feet straight up doesn't look as bad as it does if you're 20 feet.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this, I think there are some corner lots that are 15,000 feet. Most corner lots in Rollingwood are gonna be bigger than the lots adjacent to them,
Mm-hmm.
because they oversized them because of the setback deal. Now, I have to still go back to, I appreciate what, we're wrestling with, but I still can't figure out in my mind why we have exceptions to the 30-foot rule. And if we took that exception out, then I really believe, Jay, and I realize that David's correct, and that I think that the council and the P&Z would probably not agree to lower the requirements of setback. Increasing it and take this exception out, I'm not sure that wouldn't pass. I mean, I'm guessing. I hadn't polled anybody. I'll be honest, I had forgot all about the damn exception, the 20-foot exception, and I suspect that most of us have.
No,
No.
people are much more aware of it. I mean, we lived at 406 Inwood, which is Rollingwood and Inwood, and Buzzy built that house, and it backs up. It's just two houses in that in block, but he built it more than 30 feet, and in both directions. But
I don't, I don't want to argue that what you're suggesting isn't true. I think that it's possible that we could take this to P&Z and City Council and say, we think that this exception isn't required, it doesn't do the city any good, and so on. And in fact, it might create more imposing houses just by virtue of the distance from the street. But I don't know that we want to handle that right now. What I'd like to do is to continue to focus on building height. Get a win there, get that done.
Get a building height.
Then if
On
we
our
left
building
this
height and our
scenario
measurement, how we're going to do that.
as you have it,
Get that done,
including corner lots,
and then
and
come
maybe
back.
later on,
What I'd hope is to come
setbacks
back to
would be
setbacks
changed.
later.
I'm okay.
potentially,
right.
yeah.
Now,
I think, and let me make one clarification, David. I'm not worried about, I'm not saying that reducing that makes an imposing house or not. I'm just looking at the two now that we have that I think were designed to take advantage of that 20-foot that's causing us a problem.
there are plenty of houses that have
more
also used the 20 feet that are perfectly fine. To be fair, I mean, they're probably on balance. Most people are not kind of exploiting that option, and so that's the hard part is, do you take that away from everybody because,
What,
Well, if the rule's not there, it'll be
what's
exploited.
well, I think what
Yeah.
we're going to end up doing here is, we're going to get past this building height,
Yeah.
and then we're going to create some more subcommittees, and I think setback can be one of them. We could just have a subcommittee that looks at setback and say, what's the right thing for this stuff? Now, that in its own won't have any impact on building height, but it could have an impact on the imposing nature of some houses, right? And that's it. I mean, the heights will all be the same, but where you're allowed to put it, that could change if we got it approved. And I don't disagree that that's a possibility. I think it is. I mean, you're right. I don't understand why we did that either, but.
Well, Alex, I have to tell you, I have to compliment you again on this. It's fantastic. This
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, I think we should go with it as is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
take
Yeah.
that. I'll make a motion.
Well,
Well, now, we did make a motion on this last time,
yeah.
Yeah.
and so I don't think anything's different, other than I
Now,
just,
this is illustrative, Tom. We
Okay.
did
That's
this.
right.
We
I
did
think I
this.
just wanted
This
to
is
make,
right.
yeah.
This is the comic book version of what we discussed last
Height
week.
height for dummies tonight, you
The
know,
graph-
it's okay.
This is the
I'm-
graphical novel.
Yeah, well, nothing is different in this than the motion we made at the last
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
All this does is say, okay, this is
This is what it looks like.
This is what we
this
talked
is what
about.
the
If we
implication
do
is
wanna
of what we've
change
done.
it,
And,
You're right.
and I believe that these exhibits here should be included with the
Yeah.
discussion to P and Z and to city council, that this is what this means to houses that could even be here in Rollingwood, for all we know. So,
Thank you, Alex. That's all
Sure.
I can say. is
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
well, and again, you know, we've taken sidewall articulation out, but I think we might wanna talk about foundations, because I do think that may.
The size of exposed foundations.
size of
The height
yeah.
of exposed foundations.
Yeah. Do we wanna wrap that up and put that in our height package?
well, we don't have a,
We don't have enough.
we had talked about
Well,
two
it's-
meetings ago. we
It's
had-
been in the stuff
Yeah.
it's been in the packet that I submitted
Right.
for this
We
conversation.
had talked about the foundation heights, I think 2 meetings ago. But what we didn't do was take a motion on it. Okay, so.
Well, I don't know that we
Was that-
agree, did we reach an agreement?
Well, that's what I thought we
well,
could
that's a
do
good
right
question.
now.
I don't know. That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
not.
mean, we,
Yeah.
my recollection, and I'm getting older, and so the recollection is getting shorter and shorter, is that we all talked about certain things like, that we saw that we didn't like about exposed foundations, and said something needed to be done. And I know that we talked about, or I think we talked about, and I haven't had that much beer between then and now, we talked about landscaping requirements, about continuing the facade down over the exposed foundation so that it didn't look like an exposed foundation, landscaping in front of it. We talked about a number of things about how to deal with the exposed foundation, Dave, but I don't know that we came to a conclusion about what we wanted to do.
Well, I do know that we didn't take, if there was a conclusion, we didn't do a motion on it.
That's
No.
correct.
So it is,
I'm sure
whatever it
about
is,
that.
it's not official.
No,
So,
but that's what I thought we might try to get to tonight, because it's been in the packet, so
Yeah.
it's,
I
yes.
I have a limitation tonight. I have to leave about 6:30 because I've got a commitment to a student group
okay.
that I have to get to.
And I
Yes.
have a 7 o'clock event as well.
Oh, I have a 7 o'clock, yeah, but,
So,
So,
but with one gone, we still have a quorum. But you
Yeah,
want to be
yeah,
part of
I-
it, but I bet you want to be part of this discussion.
well, I do,
Yeah,
and so taking it up is just fine with me. I'm just saying that we have discussed it, but I don't know that we've.
Well, let's see
Let
where,
me add-
how
do-
far
do-
we get.
And from
Besides this,
architectural-
do we have anything else to talk about in the area of building height?
I
I
don't
think,
believe
I
so.
think you're right on. Do the height, and then we'll come back with the articulation and.
Yeah.
Right, right. We're gonna do that, yeah.
Fine.
That'll be a new thing.
I think what we have, and this is still from the packet that was submitted. The most we've got is foundations shall not exceed 6 feet in exposed height without the addition of planters, decks, grading, or dense evergreen vegetative buffers if visible from the public right of way. And I think that foundations should be measured from the estimated finished floor level to grade regardless of finished exterior material. And it does not include, if there's a basement or a garage, that is not a foundation. I mean, it's a habitable space, right? I mean, we should be clear about that one way or the other. That's
Yeah, how
rhetorical.
do we be, I agree, but how do we make that clear? I suppose just is on the other side of the wall that we're talking about, is that usable space. If it's a garage, it's usable space, but
Yeah.
it's not habitable necessarily, because it's probably not
Oh,
air
yeah,
conditioned and heated.
yeah.
At least by Rollingwood standards.
I don't think it should be like a crawl space. But if it is, you know, a usable basement with windows and, or a garage, I don't know. These are questions that we need to answer.
Okay,
What is the
and we're,
definition of
and that impacts our height issue, right?
No.
Maybe it doesn't.
Okay, okay.
I think it does.
The height was 35 feet,
It's
from
not-
Including-
native grade
yeah.
Top of-
Yeah.
it's not
or
the
finished
35
grade,
feet.
whichever is lower,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Wouldn't that's what it is, it's
Mhm.
whichever is lower.
That, Dave, just
Okay.
from a standpoint of us following, making sure that we posted this properly, yes, it absolutely affects height, because we've got a agenda item for height, we don't have it for foundation. So let's count that as height,
Right.
affecting that height, just for,
But if,
make sure we stay on our agenda.
So foundations are on agenda or not?
I don't see it.
Well, it was in my packet.
Yeah,
Size, okay.
yeah, I guess the word foundation is not there.
But
Exposed
the
foundation.
foundation is
Yeah.
part of a height, so I think you
well,
got
the
it.
question of whether the foundation is part of the height certainly is a part of the height.
It is,
Yeah.
Discussion.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, and my point is, I don't want people building Maya temple and then 35 feet on top of that.
Exactly.
Right.
So then maybe we just have to clarify the language or make sure that we say height includes, but it,
Well, we already have.
it
We
does
already
because
have.
it's
The
from grade.
35 foot is the
Yeah.
height, is
Yeah.
35 feet
Okay.
above natural grade, is the absolute height of the structure. Now, if somebody wants to build a Maya temple of 20 feet and build a one-story house on top of that, bless them, maybe, or at least that would fit under the 35-foot definition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, the question is, do we want to bless them or damn them?
No Mayan temples?
I think it's sacrifice if it's Mayan, right? Sorry.
So what you're saying is the Mayan temple aspect would be a foundation, right? That's, you've got something.
Got it.
and
Well,
you're building this
I'm
thing
being
up.
overly dramatic about it.
But
yes, that's-
but I just want to get the visual in my mind. Okay, so there you are.
So Brian, I was gonna say that, yeah, that's, we could do the sacrifice. We've got a bunch of attorneys in this town. It's not like we're gonna run out, God's sake.
I'd like the
What-
minutes to read that he
what-
didn't say too damn many attorneys, he just said a lot of attorneys.
I guess the height subcommittee came up with these ideas about a 6-foot maximum foundation that could be seen from
Public right of way.
the public right of way.
Yeah, I think this was.
Okay,
Jeff-
we
Jeff
said
was-
that, I
Jeff
mean,
Gunn was,
I don't know that we approved any of that, but we said it,
That's,
okay?
I agree that was part
And then
of
we
the
also said that no more than, what, 4,
Well, and interestingly, this photo actually does what
Yeah.
we're suggesting.
yeah,
Because you can see the exposed foundation behind, but
Yeah.
they've got
Yeah.
planters in front,
yeah.
so
But
that helps mitigate.
We also came up with kind of a rule, right, that you had to have coverage in front of, what, 3 feet of it, or something, I forget, I'm sure you have it here.
Yeah, I don't know that I put 3 feet.
I
there,
don't know
but-
what it was, I forget.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think it should be, well, let me, curious what that, where did we get that?
So there needed to be some sort of, and there was a lot of discussion around, well, could it be bushes? No, it's not gonna be bushes, it's gotta be a permanent thing.
Well, actually, some other cities say it can be bushes, so I thought that wasn't
Yeah,
a terrible, I mean, I think it's dense evergreen shrubs is, but if y'all don't want that, that's fine.
well, I think if we're talking about the exposure of the foundation, and we're talking about something that mitigates that exposure, then that something has to be some sort of a permanent structure, not vegetation.
Yeah, Westlake actually says foundations with 4 vertical feet or more exposed must be concealed with dense evergreen vegetative buffers if the exposed foundation is readily visible from any street or property.
All
See
right.
if I can find another
Terrible
one.
wording.
So we
But
went
we were
with
talking about
6
6
feet.
Yeah, and that would even be worser. So,
I'm, s-
It's obviously, you obviously can see it from your own property, so.
from your own property line.
Yeah, there's a
okay, I'm gonna,
You can
house
see it from your property line, the
that I
neighbor can
think-
see it from your property
Okay.
line too.
would
if there is
benefit
one.
from, I'll see if I can pull this
Okay,
picture
did-
up.
to do with streetscape and legislate. I'm looking at your words here.
If on the other side of the concrete wall that we are dealing with is a garage, does it make any difference? Are we, again, is this really an articulation issue, Alex?
It could be, maybe we need to fold that into the articulation conversation, cause yeah, you could end up with a pretty large blank wall that
That
is partially a foundation and partially a garage.
Yes.
Um,
It's a foundation in that it's holding up an exterior wall, but it's not, it's not what I perceive as the objectionable issue of the,
Like,
on the other side of that is sandbags of fill.
So,
can y'all see that house?
Yeah,
I think that would benefit from, I don't wanna really make it visible, but I think that would benefit from some grounding
yeah.
into the landscape with,
It does have it, doesn't it? It doesn't look like
No.
evergreen bushes.
yeah, maybe evergreen's not enough.
Is that the same house as the second?
No,
no,
That's a different one?
it's nearby though, but
Alex, you built some houses.
Yeah.
So you know a little bit about cost. I always thought, if I were gonna build a 10, 12-foot foundation, I'd make it in a basement.
usable, yeah.
I mean, cause your
Yeah.
costs have got to be pretty comparable.
At least
Yeah.
half.
And it's unsightly. I mean, to be honest, I don't understand why people choose to do it, but actually it disengages you from your landscape as well. That's the other part that I find troubling. It just kind of is a real disconnect between house and,
Why do people
Land.
do, walk down the street here 2 blocks and you can see one that's a
Well,
10 or 12 foot.
The view, that was just strictly for the view.
is there really a view from that one?
Don't
Yeah.
know. I can't think of any possible
And,
reason
yeah.
that you would do that,
Other than,
other than that.
Your
Although
current-
there was some flooding issues on that lot,
Oh,
but it wasn't 10 foot of water coming across there.
no,
No.
Your current recommendation is the foundation shall not exceed 6 feet in exposed height without the addition of anything. So, I can't see what's all that bad about a 6-foot foundation. Most people are gonna put something in front of it, plant
Yeah.
something in front of it, but,
I think it's just saying once you go above 6 feet, you have to conceal it. So you can have 6 feet of exposed foundation.
this says 6 feet in exposed height without the addition of planters, decks, grading,
You
or
can
dense
go-
evergreen.
You cannot exceed 6 feet without addition. So you can have 6 foot of foundation, but if you're at 7 feet, I suppose that means you have to have 1 foot of screening?
no,
That's not what your statement
Oh, it's
says,
not?
though.
Okay.
It says foundation shall not exceed 6 feet in exposed height without the addition of planters, decks, grading, or dense evergreen vegetative buffers.
Okay, help me say it better.
Just the foundation shall not exceed 6 feet from, visible, from the original grade or whatever.
Okay. What,
Well, you can go, we don't wanna restrict,
Foundation should not
Foundation
exceed 6
height.
feet.
we wanna
from
restrict
the-
visibility of foundation.
what we put into our preliminary recommendations that we all voted on, okay, was exposed foundation, which had at least 27 unprompted comments in our survey, okay? said, foundation exposure within public view from the right-of-way cannot exceed 6 feet. Second point, foundation exposure with public view must be screened such that viewable portion does not exceed 2.5 feet or 30 inches.
Okay, yeah.
That's what we
This
said.
needs- okay.
We agreed on this months ago,
Yeah.
all right? This thing. Now, that's not in your presentation now. That's
Okay,
not
well
there,
then,
you
we
know.
can scrap this.
Yeah, well,
Just
I'm just
leave it
saying,
right.
I
Yeah.
don't know, you know, I want to be. We have 2 questions. One is, does this discussion here get into the discussion about building height with P and Z next week? That's one. And 2, if so,
Tom said.
is this what we agree is what it is? Is this
All right.
it? Is this the answer?
I do not want to muddy the water on
Perfect.
on height.
I
period.
agree.
Good.
I
That-
agree.
That I think is gonna be a lay down and
Yep.
well, it should be a lay down and take it and run
Yep.
and then build from there.
Okay,
Yeah, if, for
Good
the
advice.
purposes of discussion, anytime someone brings up a question about something like that, we can go back to the preliminary recommendation. We don't have it resolved yet, but we have a preliminary recommendation that goes something like this. And we just leave it at that, just make it a dead fish.
But it's academic on height
Right.
because its height starts on natural grade.
Exactly.
Now, yes, you can build them by
Yep.
a step pyramid there, I guess, if you wanted to, but, you know, and it may be the thing that we have, that, maybe that's the next architectural style that we have in Rolling Wood, right?
well, I never made any summations on this foundation one.
Sure,
It was,
yeah.
these are still sort of notes that,
Okay, well,
for discussion,
well,
but we can,
yeah.
I agree, it makes sense to.
I don't think
roll
we're
it
ready for
into-
prime time on this issue,
I agree,
okay?
yeah, okay.
I just wanted to tie it
Yeah.
into height, just so that we're staying within the agenda. That was the only reason
And
that I.
as I understand it, we've already voted, the committee has already voted on height, what present
Yes.
is gonna be
Yes.
presented.
Yes.
Okay.
We're good. Yep.
Well, thank you for getting me up to date.
Well, again,
Yeah.
Alex, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Uh,
it truly is.
For those of us who are, have a hard time visualizing, did a fantastic job.
Okay,
with
good.
this.
Well, I have lots of these. It's just some hesitation to share them because, you know, it represents, you know, properties in Rolling Wood, so.
So what we're going to P and Z with is the 35 feet,
That's it,
the
Natural
parallel
grade.
plane,
natural grade.
the natural grade,
And then the height along
and
the
the
side
stepped
setback.
height, yeah, the stepped
Step height.
height.
And I can make that table, I
Step
think
height.
Side
Jeff
And
had
that's it.
suggested.
And that's it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's all we're talking about.
At this point.
That's
Well, we
it.
had the gables
For the
issue.
next P and Z
Yeah,
meeting.
we're gonna include the gables in this.
Gables?
Didn't we have
Yeah.
a discussion about 15-foot max gables, 3 foot back? to-
Thank
Oh,
you.
dormers and
Yeah,
things
dormers,
like
yeah.
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
dormers, excuse me,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, dormers are set back 3 feet, and they're allowed to go up to 35 feet. It's, you're allowed to go to max.
But they're limited in their
With,
accumulative,
15 feet.
cumulative width
Yeah.
is 15 feet. You can
Yeah.
have one that's
Yeah.
15 or three
And-
that's
And
5.
that is a penetration or an exception to the side setback, side yard setback issue, or is it, it's not an exception to the 35 foot?
No.
In a way, it is, yeah.
no, it's not an exception to the 35 feet.
There are no exceptions.
It
to
cannot go
35.
above 35
Yeah,
feet.
it can't, no matter what,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no 35 feet, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
There are no exceptions to the 35 feet, so it's an exception only to the 25 foot at 10, 30 foot
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it
at
can
15.
Right,
break the plane
yeah,
3 feet back from the wall
3
surface.
feet back from the primary wall.
Yeah.
Now, is that
Foundation
needed? I
wall,
mean,
right.
is it, do we need that?
It gives some design flexibility that other cities use. So we felt like.
I'm not objecting to
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
I'm asking whether it's something, it is a complexity, it's not one that bothers me, I like the
Yeah.
visual of having some dormers or whatever
Right.
whatever this is, and to break long roof lines, to me,
Right.
it is part of the element of variability along the side of,
Yeah.
that I would like to see.
Yeah.
It could be also in front, people can have dormers in the front.
Well, it's also, it helps cement the idea that we are not anti-big house. It's not that, it's the way that the house is set on the lot. It's the imposing
And its
aspect.
relationship to the neighbors.
That's right, all of that, you know,
That's-
there's
that's what
more
we're
to
dealing
it
with.
than, yeah, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. But with, you know, with dormers adds square footage adds taxes, we love it. So,
I'm not sure I like the taxes, but, okay, I don't have any dormers. But we did put in a dormer clause last time we met.
yes,
We did, so
We
that,
did.
I'm just pointing out we're not
that's right.
overruling ourselves
No,
from last time.
No,
Okay.
no.
Mm-mm.
Let me see, 35 feet. Actually, I'm looking in back here at the notes.
All right, well, if that's what we're gonna go with plat P and Z at, then I think it's 6:25 and I'm leaving.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
we're,
Okay, yep, we have that 3 feet and the 15 feet, we met, you know, we carried six in favor.
Good.
We're good.
we're on five.
So, are we finished with the discussion on building height?
I believe we are.
I think we are finished with it.
I think we are for the moment.
We actually passed it last,
We passed it last,
Yeah.
yeah,
yes,
2 weeks ago.
yes, yes. What we're doing is we're revisiting what we discussed last week and just sanity checking.
Well, we're
Yeah.
revisiting it with some, thanks to Alex,
Yeah,
real live examples and some drawings for those of us who might have the need, me, to have such drawings to really see the implications of what we've done.
Yeah.
And
and
that's what we're
what,
doing.
and what we're trying to do is get prepared for the next step, which is going to P and Z. We want to know, I mean, if it's working for you guys, this is a great thing. This is a great
Well,
tool.
What it means, Brian, is we voted right last time.
Okay, good. I'm glad we did. We found out this time that we voted right last time.
Okay,
All right.
then, we are finished with this.
Yeah.
We can move along to regular agenda item number 5, discussion of possible action on residential trees ordinance recommendation.
Jay, did you say you were not prepared to go forward with trees right now?
Right, my intention is to take what we have worked on before, and we actually approved, but sort of piecemeal, and rewrite it a little bit, and then I'll present it at the next meeting to take a official vote on it.
Mhm.
And I think we talked about taking a vote on each of the 19
That's what we're
points
gonna do, yeah.
separately. So I will have that for the next meeting.
Okay,
And then I will send the letter to the resident, and to be posted for the next meeting, so we can go over that next meeting as well.
Okay.
So I don't have anything brand new.
we can have discussion if you like, no possible action today, but is there anything that anybody wants to bring up about trees that hasn't been stated?
Well, Tom and I had a subcommittee meeting in the absence of Duke, about lighting, and Tom is rewriting that with some commentary and thoughts that I had given him about that. So
Good.
we are also, trying to get teed up a report on
Okay.
on residential lighting.
I'd like
Okay.
for that to be on the next agenda item.
Are you having meetings of your subcommittee? Because I'm now a member of that subcommittee.
You are?
Yes.
That's right, Jay was voted in,
Okay.
right, appointed.
Sorry,
to-
Jay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry
I
about
wasn't
that.
here, so
yeah, yeah.
I'll try to
get me up to speed.
get you to speed.
Well, do we have wait a minute, we have a 4-member committee, then if I'm on it, maybe I wasn't on it.
You were.
No, it's 3. Just the-
No, Duke's on it also.
We took me off of it.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
what we decided to do. I was on it and I got off. And then Jay came in behind me.
Can we have a 4-member subcommittee, cause that's a quorum?
can't do it.
Oh, I'll gladly drop off if that's needed.
I think, I'll tell you where we are,
You know,
and maybe
you
this
lose a
will help.
quarter of your
My-
salary for that, you know.
Yeah.
Okay,
My intention is at the next meeting is to bring in the backup and the proposed ordinance on that. And so it'll be a discussion for the whole group to come in on that. Because we do have there are a couple of items that I think we probably need to discuss.
okay, I'm gonna close discussion item number 5. We're not gonna talk about tree ordinance right now.
Okay.
And open up discussion item number 6, discussion and possible action on future meeting dates and agenda topics, which I believe we're really kind of already into.
I thought we were.
Yeah, so you would like to bring in lighting next time,
Yeah.
all right? And we will probably have something for trees next time. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Okay,
And our
very
next
good.
meeting will be the second Tuesday of
Of
April,
April,
which is,
which will make it the 9th. Okay? I will be here. I believe that we're going to, at the very least, discuss how the P and Z meeting went. So I believe we'll want to put that on the agenda, a
when
little
is
bit
that
of a.
P and Z meeting?
The P and Z meeting is on the 3rd.
All right, David,
Yeah.
do you want any of us at one of the P and Z or city council meetings?
We are going to, Alex is going to come to P and Z, and Duke has promised that he would join us at P and Z for this height discussion.
All right.
Now, we have the same quorum issue with
Yeah, I know.
attending meetings, and I'm going to be at P and Z as well.
Okay.
So, at the very least, the entire height team will be there, and that might be the model we want to be looking for in the future, that every time we're taking this stuff to P and Z or whatever, we have the team, the subcommittee that created whatever's being recommended be the folks that present it.
Okay.
We good with that? Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it feels right.
Sounds good. Could you clarify for me who is on the lighting subcommittee?
I thought it was Duke, Brian, and myself.
Yeah, I don't remember Brian being on it. I remember Duke, you, and me being on it, and I said I didn't think, and then you volunteered, said you wouldn't
Right.
mind being on
And
it.
I was officially
So we
voted
swapped me
on
out.
while I was gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it doesn't matter to me, but,
I would, in that case, if Duke does actually want to be on the committee, and he is, I would ask to take myself off so you don't have any quorum issues. And plus, I've
Brian's
really-
I've had 2 meetings with Brian, with our group. Sorry, Jay. Should have known. Maybe you told me. Well, anyway, I think we're very close to submitting it to our whole group, a whole committee, a whole group here to get their comments on it, regardless.
Well, then, I'd like to make a motion, if I could, that the lighting subcommittee be constituted by Tom, Duke, and Brian, and that I be removed from the subcommittee.
I don't know that we're posted for anything having to do with subcommittee assignments or lighting.
We'll
Okay,
take that
we'll
up.
take that up next meeting.
Okay.
We'll put that also on the agenda. There's some other subcommittees we want to create anyway.
Right.
Don't worry, Jay, there's plenty to do.
Yeah. I was gonna bring up the one that we had talked about, but I don't know if you wanna do that right now, so.
Which one would?
Possibly a impervious cover
Oh, yeah,
slash
yeah,
FAR subcommittee.
Well, I don't want to submit something after Alex has done all this thing, because it make me look really bad. Well, I said that out loud, didn't I?
Okay. Well,
Well, Jay set the standard with the trees.
there's,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
The bar
good work
got really
coming out of
high.
this group, and I'm really delighted. We can, unless someone else has other topics, it looks like we have a full plate for the next meeting. I just want to make a statement here. on the 10th, I will be leaving Rolling Wood for a couple of weeks. So I am going to miss the next city council meeting. If the P and Z does approve the height, I'm not sure, I really want to be there at the city council meeting where it gets presented. If we have to, go without me, I guess that's fine, but I really would like to be there.
Can you do it via Zoom?
I'm gonna be on a ship,
Oh.
and, so probably not. I mean, if I said I could, I
Yeah,
wouldn't know.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
So,
I responded to emails from the jungles of Africa.
See?
Come on.
and I'm and yes,
But it
and I'm
wasn't a
proud of-
Zoom. It wasn't a Zoom.
This is it's
I go in January every year, Jay,
at any rate.
mostly.
All right.
At the time, whenever we get to that next meeting, that next city council meeting with the height, additional hands on deck would be useful. Okay, so. Yeah, that's my statement. I'll be back for the P and Z meeting after that and for all other CRC. I'm gonna miss one CRC meeting. And Alex, being the co-chair, will be running that. Okay? So, with that, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Meeting officially adjourned at 6:35.